What's up, everybody? This is another episode of the Cryptocurrents Live Buy, where I try to do a small amount, like let's say tip money or a very small percentage of your paycheck. I try to simulate that in an account. So far, I was very bullish on Binance, and that turned out to be fairly accurate. I was also bullish on Nucleus Vision, which today in particular has had a big spike, giving us a profit of 34% already, starting from, what was it? Oh, I forgot. I don't have the dates on this because I thought I'd have it on the YouTube video. So I'm going to have to add that. I don't want to go through that right now. But yeah, I believe I did it the last week of February. So in about 3 weeks plus maybe a couple days, it's been profitable. Let me get this out of the way before I forget. The background music is, again, this playlist that's on my YouTube channel. None of the music is mine, but they're all free beats, and they just ask for you to basically give them recognition, and they will and have you not pay for the content, not have people pay for your content using their music. And I abide by both those rules. But yeah, you should go ahead and check out all these songs and give them your own plays and whatnot if you're interested in that. So let's go ahead and get into it. It's roughly going to be like 20 bucks. Even when I was like scraping money to a degree, like it's somewhat reasonable to come up with 20 bucks every 2 weeks and put it in this. Now, if it's really your only savings, and you still want a higher risk than just putting it, a higher return percentage than just putting it in a savings account, I would recommend something like Stash or Robinhood, with markets that have less volatility, with also less potential return, but a lot less risk. So if you're at the point where getting $20 every 2 weeks is too much, you probably shouldn't be risking it in this. But all that being said, again, $20 in 2 weeks, what should we put it in? I was thinking about trying to have this be a little more diversified, since Binance coins are actively being used, but Nucleus Vision is mostly, like, it's being used in betas and in some stores, which is one of the reasons I invested in it in the first place on my personal account. But it also isn't very proven in terms of like this currency being worth something. It's definitely more of like a digital, of like an asset, or a like a digital bond almost of this company. That's how I'm basically using it. I'm sure the people like defending the legalese of cryptocurrencies aren't the happiest about me saying that, but yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. So I was thinking about trying to invest in a there we go. Now you could actually see it. Again, I want these to kind of be like standalone things. So you could just import tables from CoinMarketCap with the information, and rather than set it to auto refresh, which for some reason takes up a much bigger computer load, like a CPU and memory usage on your computer, than if you were to just otherwise run the websites. It is much easier to just manually refresh it until this list starts ending up being like 15 currencies, and then you could just set it to refresh when open, and then just let it load up that first initial time and wait a little bit. But yeah, now you can actually see what we bought it at and now what it's currently worth. And now I can get rid of that. So like I said, the way I wanted to diversify it now is by getting something that's a little more stable in terms of cryptocurrency. I was really thinking about Neo, because overall the price of it should clearly go up. That Twitter thread kind of going over the possible issues with Neo are those issues aren't much worse than almost every other non-solely proof of work system is. Even proof of stake could get manipulated, just not quite as easily as Neo's. And one of the big things behind Neo was that didn't seem like, the criticisms of Neo on Twitter was that it wasn't like Byzantine fault tolerance, which is basically saying like, what's the incentive for people to just not do the equivalent of coming up with all these false transactions by being the trusted nodes? Like, I think it was 7 nodes, so let's say 4 of them agreed that they'll just run like false transactions and get all that Neo, sell it, and cash out, and then launder it through like Monero and Dash and all that stuff, which isn't faults of the coin. That's what they do, but that's just like the bottom line is. In theory, that's the big problem behind Neo. At the same time, the criticism of it not being decentralized of not being truly decentralized is also somewhat true, because it has like ant miners and full facilities, and it's basically fairly centralized in its mining and power because they themselves have their own rigs and systems. So if you want to talk about how much power you would need to then overrun them in terms of the trusted nodes that verify like double spends and conflicts with transactions and things like that, then like if you could build up to that much power, you would probably be it would benefit you more to just entirely overpower another proof of stake based coin. So while it's not as secure as a sole proof of work system, in concept it's much, the centralization of it from it not being truly decentralized actually kind of helps in terms of how its trusted node process works in terms of verifying the transactions. So I like Neo in terms of buying it right now because it doesn't have a lot that's been proven on the platform yet, and it hasn't really taken off. So yeah, it even if it just has some weeks of no bad news, like not even any good news coming out, the price should start to climb back up just because of all the promise behind it, and the fact that China isn't, blacklisting them despite how big they're getting. There's actually like businesses and platforms getting involved with them, and Neo is also trying to get involved with like Korea-based and Japan-based entities instead of just staying in China. They're trying to be more of like an Asian, like they say like Chinese Ethereum and South Korean Ethereum. I think they really are trying to branch out and be the Asia's Ethereum. And also calling Icon like Ethereum isn't the most accurate, because one of their main premises is helping other blockchains communicate with each other. So it won't, like, you could build on their platform because then it has the ability to speak with the other platforms, but at the same time, Ethereum and even Neo will be more used and proven in terms of like the coding language and things like that. So Icon could still serve a giant role in the market by being the platform that helps all these other blockchains and languages communicate. That's a like a hole in the market that needs to be filled, and it could be a very profitable hole to fill, as like innuendo-ish as that sounds. So yeah, that was just a little side rant on Icon. You could also think about picking up Icon because it took a big tumble the other day. So even though the percentage increase is looking quite high for the day, a big part of that is because it fell so hard recently. Yeah, I am going to have to go to day by day. Yeah, so it had that dip, and now it's been recovering for a few days ever since with a big spike the last 2. So I'm a little iffy on buying it right now because I'm not sure if it's going to continue on such a trend like this. Like, the last time it had a spike this big, it had one more spike and then immediately came back down. But it did not come back down below the previous one. Right now we're kind of in the middle of another spike, so it could be that second spike. So I'm a little unsure if, it's setting up to be another drop. or if it's getting ready to have another major spike. So that's another one I guess I am thinking about getting right now. Neo was promising because it has a much higher volume and it's traded more than Icon, which isn't super important, but since I'm trying to get some diversification and like stabilization in the portfolio, Neo is slightly better for that. And it's also you get gas for holding it, which sounds like nothing, but if you're putting in these $20 a week and then you can continue to hit on some profits like this, where already up 34%. Let's say you took 20 out, and then you put that 20 into Neo on top of the 20 you do now, and every time you get excess profit, you can sell some off and then put that back into another stable currency if you don't believe these are hodls. The fuck. I for one think that Binance coins and Nucleus Vision are hodls. With Binance coin being a hodl as long as exchanges exist, really, and then Nucleus Vision being a hodl until the United States government, which is where the company is based, if it deems that you can't hold these currencies or tokens as the equivalent to stocks, or if you can, they have to file as such. The latter is not too big of a concern because the company itself has a solid team and already a legal team and already a working product, and it's being used in typical businesses. One of the reasons it's just so involved in cryptocurrency and even has a token and got a lot of funding from the ICO was because of Tim Draper, who's got his hands involved in regular finance, finance tech, like fintech, with the internet exchanges of both regular bonds and also cryptocurrencies and stuff like that. He's also invested in just regular like businesses and marketplaces, not just crypto. So Nucleus Vision is a good like hybrid of all of that. And the product itself is useful because it's an AI for brick and mortar stores where it'll analyze everyone's face when they walk in, what they walk to, where they go, how long they spend looking at what, the whole nine. And then since everyone's privacy is already fully violated anyway, it's not really any major step forward. And even then, it could still, let's say it doesn't track faces and automatically connects your Facebook account and all that shit, and you could set it to be a privacy-friendly one. And it just gives you like anonymized user data in terms of the motion and stuff like that. Then that could actually help it have another place in the marketplace of being a monitoring tech that has the option of anonymizing the data. So if you're a company that's using it, you could release some sort of certificate saying that you indeed do use the anonymized service rather than the full-blown, Facebook stalking tracking type thing. All right, let me go back to closing the monitor because I always forget that. Oops. And now let's take a look at Litecoin. Because if you're talking about a stable currency that still has a high return value, Litecoin is basically where it's at, because in the last month there's been more things built on Litecoin in terms of like projects and apps and even an exchange or a pseudo exchange in Abra. Then all of that brings more value to like the network power of Litecoin, as well as the fact that it's probably one of the best cryptocurrencies in terms of actually being a usable currency. So I think that investing in Litecoin would be another strong option. God damn, look at this, dude. Every other coin we've looked at has had significantly more spikes than that. It is on a bit of a downturn. Oh, yeah. Litecoin might be a really good option to stabilize this portfolio because let me just get a few Binance tabs because this shit's ridiculous. Okay. Any day now. All right. ENB. Jesus Christ, it's just going up and up and up and up. All right. So if we look at Binance Coin and we go to, let's say, the day chart, it didn't have any dramatic fallout or like bleed out period when all these other ones did. Even in like the cryptocurrency like new stuff that I did earlier today. One of the things I talked about was how stable this coin, or one of the things I talked about as well as the article I read talked about, was that Binance was the third best performing coin during that huge bear market cycle. So it's also proven to be a fairly stable coin, but we already have quite a bit of it despite its success. Yeah, despite its success, I still want to just try to get a few more things in the portfolio. Because even though this isn't like a $10,000 hedge fund or anything like that, especially since these 20 bucks might like be more significant to you than to most people if they said 20 bucks. Like if we're just taking that into consideration, then you would want something that, you know, let's say China gets upset that Binance was running in their country and was trying to find other offices, and now they try to go after Binance because they left. Just that FUD alone will bring down the price somewhat, even though there's not really much they could do because Malta is super pro-business and super pro-finance and won't let them like bash down their office doors or whatever to try to figure out what they have. So I am a little torn between just getting more Binance blocks, which is also in the middle of a huge spike. But one of the reasons it's on this huge spike isn't just because of like a random trend or some shallow news. They have a legal operating office now with a country that's fully behind them. And the money that they could provide to that country will be significant enough to where, you'll have a prominent role in that country, CZ. Oh, so that's pretty interesting. And then let's just look at the price of Bitcoin. Back up to 88. Going through a little bit of like a mini bull run. Yeah, it's going through another stabilization period. But at least it's not like, because it was down at 8,400 late last night, aka early today, depending on where you were. And it's nice that at least during the day, and right now even currently during the end of the night, there is some more volume going into it. Which, even though I don't hold a lot of Bitcoin anymore, it's not the main thing I hold, it's still promising to see that the price of that, how does the transaction fee of Litecoin compare to other coins like Icon? The transaction fee of Litecoin I haven't sent like thousands of dollars, but for every time I've sent it, it's been 2 cents. So that's how much it is. Even in January, when everyone's network, like when Bitcoin's network fee was $17 or something like that, Litecoin's fee was like 12 cents. So yeah, Litecoin has very low transaction fees. I actually haven't tried to send Icon. Let me see what their coin fee is, because I wouldn't want to just guess. I don't know, I feel like this is just going to say to scan the whole paper tutorial. I mean, just to scan the whole paper wallet. I read tutorial and then it just made me say it out loud. I don't know, their fee has not been listed, so maybe I can... 2 cents is so little. Yeah, dude. Litecoin is pretty dope. It's one of my favorite coins to buy on Coinbase because then if you send it to an exchange to trade, it usually performs stronger during bull runs lately. So for example, if you bought Bitcoin when both were falling at the same percentage, Litecoin's been recovering faster. So if you bought the Litecoin then, when you finally get the Litecoin, you can send it to Binance or KuCoin or whatever exchange you use, and it only costs you 2 cents, and it's worth more than Bitcoin was when you got it, which is what you'll ultimately have to trade your Litecoin for once it gets into the exchange. So yeah, it's super convenient to have the fee just be 2 cents, because if you want to send $500 or $10 or whatever, you don't really have to factor it into it when you send. It's not like if you send Bitcoin from HitBTC out of your account, it's 0.01 Bitcoin to send it out of your account, which doesn't, sound like a crazy amount, but it is a crazy amount. Like, that's when you're dealing with like $20 investments like I'm trying to talk about, that's huge percentages of your profit eaten away just by trying to get it out of your exchange if you want to actually get fiat again. So yeah, I personally recommend Litecoin overall. And now in terms of, it's on a bit of a dip right now, because I was trying to watch this earlier. Oh shit, son. I was wondering when it was going to have any sort of like, because let me see. If I go to 1 hour chart, it just had tiny little ones and then just had these back-to-back spikes. Now I'm curious to see how much lower it goes, but I don't know. Litecoin or Binance coin? What's the market cap of Binance coin? It's already $1.2 billion. Holy bejesus. And it's performing so strong right now. Here, you know what another stable coin is Monero. Its volume is so low though. I wonder why. Seems like it would make sense because the transaction fees for Monero are pretty low too, like in the cents range. Like I think it was 10 cents. So I thought the volume for that would be higher. What the fuck? Ripple, even though some of the news that's been coming out about Ripple, in terms of the company, not necessarily like the token usage of XMR, has been good news. Like they're still in talks with companies. They're still using their blockchain services to provide data, like record keeping and data and stuff like that. I'm really not sure. Like, basically, where's the hate coming from? Like, let me rephrase that. Where's the price hate coming from? I hate Ripple and XMR, like just personally. But if you're like to take away the bias, then they're getting usage, they're getting adoption, and other than the fact that it's pre-mined, so there's not much of an incentive to ever get like an actual user community of miners and ever get any sort of decentralization. It's still, I guess I'm going to kind of like take it back, because despite all of its usage and everything, I don't think it currently is really worth a $25 billion market cap either. So I like half get it and I half don't, because in terms of other coins and tokens, its usage and adoption is fairly high. like how it has a higher market cap than Litecoin, and how Bitcoin Cash has a higher market cap than Litecoin. Uh, Ripple is getting traffic on finance Twitter this week still. Yeah, they're like cool with Bloomberg. They're cool with mainstream banks and news sources. CNBC did that live how to buy Ripple thing. Like they're cool with the mainstream, which makes the lack of price movement even more interesting to me. And it also explains by when all of the, I kind of like just thought of this point, but it explains why in November, December, and January, when just temporary public interest was spiked and all of that money came in, Ripple benefited significant, almost like percentage-wise more than Bitcoin, Litecoin, all of those, because I mean all of them skyrocketed and mooned as a result of all that interest. Don't get me wrong, but Ripple got even more so compared to them, and now they've been hit significantly more now that the mainstream money and public interest, like public interest money, not like government funding, but public interest, like money that just comes from like FOMO or oh that looks cool. All the money that got put in like early January and then got 50% of it wiped out within 2 weeks. All those people left. And now like what's left is that a lot of these more typical useful currencies like Litecoin, Monero, even Bitcoin with all of the like improvements like SegWit and Lightning Network and things like that to help take some usage and pressure off of the mempool and the blockchain and the block size themselves. Like SegWit 2x was also increasing the block size by I think it was like 1.6, not exactly 2 times, but between the increase of 1.6 and the use of segregated witness, then that was able to provide the efficiency of basically doubling the block size without having to actually fully double the block size. So yeah, I think so. I think if there is another huge spike in public interest, or if mainstream money like investment firms or JP Morgan or things like that start investing heavy in cryptocurrency, Ripple will probably be one of the first to benefit. It'll probably be Bitcoin because like Bitcoin is Bitcoin, and then depending on the firm or whatnot, it'll come down to either Ethereum or Ripple, because some of them will like that Ethereum is like this whole new like ecosystem and language and smart contract based system that could expand even more than it is right now, and then you could also look at Ripple as kind of being the inverse, like, or yeah, because it's not quite the opposite, but it's like it's providing all the mainstream stuff. It's making things that already exist cheaper. Like it's not necessarily groundbreaking. It's just bringing all the usefulness of blockchain technology and instant payments and digital currencies, almost not necessarily cryptocurrencies. They're providing all the usefulness and usage from that. I want here. How is speaking of Ripple? How has that been performing? Not the best. Oh, I'm on. Oops. I was on Monero. Wow, Monero's on a little bit of a drop too. Are people pissed off that they're forking, that they're hard forking to avoid ASICs? That's ridiculous. That's good news. That's not bad news. That's good news. Because if you allow ASICs and you're not like hard script based and constantly trying to like just make little changes to make it less and less useful, like the Litecoin team is, then if you allow ASICs, you allow centralization by the 3 ASIC mining companies. Like I believe it's like Ant and Sleep. Yeah, it's been like months since I looked into mining equipment, so that's my fault. But yeah, the 3 main mining companies kind of in effect control all of the mining, and they kind of have a centralized service of anything that uses an ASIC. Is Ripple still an anonymous service for wallet to wallet like BTC? In terms of like it's just an address, yeah, it's not like Bitcoin's not anonymous, because in theory, let's say like you tweet that you bought some shit, and then they look at the block and see that that transaction at that time was an amount that roughly correlates to whatever you bought. They could guess that wallet address is you, and then follow that wallet address going forward, and then follow you going forward. It's not something like Monero, where the wallet IDs are anonymized and the public ledger is anonymized. And they're also trying to add bulletproof transactions before anyone else, which means you don't even have to expose the wallet addresses to the blockchain network. So yeah, Ripple is roughly as anonymous as Bitcoin is right now, especially if you don't get it like directly through an on-ramp, and you like Ripple and Bitcoin are both anonymous if you don't talk about what you spend and you acquire it through an ATM. Like if you buy Bitcoin with cash at an ATM and then put that Bitcoin on a paper wallet and then wipe that paper wallet onto an exchange and buy Ripple with it, then yeah, that's anonymous. That's just an address floating around in the ether. So you're pretty chill on that. However, like I said, if someone's able to like piece one transaction to something you've said, then they can then just follow that address and see every transaction you've done, which is what Edward Snowden, that's what he was kind of bitching about when he was saying that Bitcoin's not like the key to privacy, and that it's not going to prevent the government from watching you and all that shit, which is true, but it takes away the power of the government controlling the money, and money is how you acquire everything in the modern world. So if they control the money, then they control everything. That's kind of like, the big elites Illuminati type picture of it. But yeah, the bottom line is Bitcoin's the most secure in terms of actually letting you have a usable currency, which is super important. And at the same time, you can have other cryptocurrencies like Monero or Ripple or Litecoin or whatever, for whatever you find most important in cryptocurrencies, or Ethereum even, just for whatever you find most important within the cryptocurrency and like crypto asset space. Jesus Christ. I think space is like one of those cheesy buzzwords, but sometimes it's just quite accurate. Since Monero's on a bit of a downturn, that kind of makes me interested to see if that might be one to get. Still not sure why the volume for it is so low. Kind of like I was talking about, it seems like it would have a much higher volume. Icon's volume the past 24 hours has been off the charts because of all the news coming out and the 2 pumps it's gotten. I don't think Icon's going to keep soaring like this though. Talked about it at the beginning. So don't flex your coins on Facebook. Oh Jesus Christ, dude. Don't even use Facebook. Like if you have Facebook on a computer that you have your cryptocurrency shit, they probably have your wallet addresses and shit. So yeah, that's bad news, bears. Don't flex your coins on Facebook. Don't flex your coins on Twitter. Don't even mention it to like random people what you bought exactly. Like if you want to talk to people about cryptocurrency, just let them know. Because what if they get super into it and they're not the best people and then they want to get revenge? So yeah, or you can you can do the other method, which is to just never use the same wallet for more than a few transactions, which is like a bit of a hassle. But you can just print a new paper wallet for each transaction. And also when you buy a bulk amount, like immediately put it on a few different wallets. So then there is no like one main wallet you use all the time. But if we're being real and you're trying to use it as like a day-to-day currency, then yeah, if you're trying to use it as like a day-to-day currency, it's definitely not practical to like make five paper wallets and burn them after in order to like give you maximum security. So it's much better to kind of make the compromise of finding whatever wallet or exchange you find most secure, and then occasionally doing the wallet thing. Like when I put money on HitBTC and when I put money on Poloniex, I sent it from Gemini to a paper wallet and then into it, and not all at once. I did it across multiple times. And then you can also send a lot to one paper wallet, and then from that paper wallet send like 2/3 of it to 2 other wallets, and then like kind of like pyramid scheme that shit out. But all that's a hassle, and it's super time consuming. But yeah, that's my advice on if you want to like make it as secure as possible, or you could just not talk about it with people, which is a much easier way to give yourself some security. I want this. I'm gonna pull back up Neo actually. XMR's Monero is still going down. I have to go all the way down to the minute chart in order to show some sort of positive uptrend. It's not the best sign. Neo's on a little bit of an uptick. All right. For the sake of the video and the fact I gotta take off, are we gonna go with Binance coin? Yeah. Or LTC. Let's go with the LTC, right? Talk about it a lot on this channel, and I have a lot of it in my own personal wallet. Let's add some to this YouTube tracking. Nope, no one swooped right away. It looked like the price had another little dip, like mine would have almost been priced too high for a moment there. Huh. All right. There we go. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened when I tried to put in the last one, but it basically froze even though the price dropped, but so be it. I'm a big believer in Litecoin, so you know having it be worth 1 penny less a little bit later isn't too hard a pill to swallow. So go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on Twitter at altcoinatheist, and yeah, that's definitely the best way to communicate with me because I'm on Twitter way too much. And yeah, I'll be on tomorrow with another news video. Later.